Fever, away!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Cast. It's approaching the end of the season. We're nearly there, but there is one small matter of finding out who will be joining SCCK in the grand final. It is, of course, the semi-final of ETF2L Highlander Season 26, the Premiership division. Some of the best players in Europe on show tonight in a best of three, and the winner will be reaching that grand final.
As the very first mid-fight unravels, CeeJaey, take it away.
It's going to be really interesting to see who gets here first, and Stick and Joe trading sticks, as it were. And just a bit of a slow mid-fight here. Kafka actually in really deep, gets a nice rocket onto Layla. It's enough to knock her back and enough to take it down, and Buko will really get the opening pick there, taking down with Zach. Kazuki now tries to go behind, bit of a late bomb, and it does look like Feila are very grouped up here, but because of that they've been able to soak in that pressure, and they've managed to get the better picks out of that exchange, just kind of absorbing all of that pressure from those inVision players who dared get aggressive. And they've won the first mid-fight, and now setting themselves up on this forward rock.
There was this initiation by Kafka. He's in once again. He gets one rocket onto Layla. She holds onto that Uber. 50 HP on her, 100% still in the bank. I wanted to say, great initiation in this early mid-fight by Kafka, and he makes amends for it almost again by killing Layla there, but they're so far strongly perched on this far right position here, Feila.
He's going in again. He's going again. Unforgiven at the same time. She does use this time. There's like a complete sandwich there onto Layla. It takes 3 players though, and those 3 players have all gone down, and there's a bit of a trade happening. It does look like it's slightly better for inVision, and at the moment it's going to be all about whether Joe and Layla can survive this. They are very passive, they are protected, and inVision do win that, but it took Kafka's bomb there, Sticks pressure with his sticks, and Unforgiven. All of that chaos is the one thing that made Layla actually pop. But what I've seen so far here is that Wizat is getting pressured so hard by Kazuki in Exile. We've not really seen much from him, and he's definitely a player that inVision will probably be relying on here, Domaytoe.
Also, it took Kafka 3 bombs to single out that player advantage there on the far right hand side, and then they walked forward with coordinate aggression, which was definitely the way to go here. Buko is peeking from the top right position, and they want to clash the combos quite aggressively here around this corner. There is no beating around the bush, as Odin is not even staying alive from this. His team didn't really support him in a profitable position, as the inVision Uber is going to come in much later.
Yeah, the later Uber is going to be much better, and a couple of players going down here actually. Stinghand walking forward, taking some names. Delt and Kazuki goes down, and then Layla gets backstabbed. Unforgiven comes in behind completely unnoticed, gets the backstab down. No heals for Feila right now, but they have a lot more bodies on the field. Tercio then goes down very late. Joe goes in, gets the kill, actually keeps his own life. Doesn't actually die for it as well. So in that, what looked like it was going to be inVision getting the med pick and maybe, trading a lot of bodies and getting their med out, they've just ended up doing nothing. They're now at a disab.
They're quite close fights. I like this. They're taking these combo fights, and it is not that decisive for either side, so both are definitely getting each other run for their money. Buko is right now developing a very strong point with a sniper rifle from the far right. But speaking of pick classes, Unforgiven comes in. Layla is going to fall down to the ground. Exio gets a stab onto Wizard, but that might not even salvage all that much, since right now inVision has this Uber advantage, this heal advantage. They want to plow forward here at that point once again, because Feila have slowly reached into the time advantage of 20 seconds, but they're eager here to take this back, and I feel like Feila don't really have anything to respond to this aggression.
Yeah, this time they took it very slow. inVision got that pick. Again, Unforgiven being like, I'm going to go for it again. Gets that kill. Kafka actually picks up 2 in the back lines there. While all of this is going on, trades his life, but takes down Buko, which is huge. But yeah, when they got the med pick this time, they just played it slow and then just waited. And Layla actually takes a pipe to the face. She goes down to 50 HP, slowly regenning a little bit there, but has to play it slow. And there we go. The Uber's going to come out, but look at inVision. The Uber with only 4 players alive. The respawns are going to come in, but they're not going to get any kills. Odin hiding. He's going to take down Stick on the repush, and then Feila just going to recap it.
They're all in shambles right now. I complimented the Uber fights beforehand. Right now a bit abysmal there really by inVision. They didn't realize that they lost 3 players to their back end, and then there was even a soldier behind, jumped Tercio, who popped before he even took damage from the first rocket, but they were in an abysmal position, as I was saying beforehand, and therefore they have to play into this Uber disadvantage they're having right now. Layla has almost a full Uber up, the soldier's going to initiate behind, and they're probably going to be trapped here in this pincer movement. No, they get out far right. The Pyro grip protects his own medic, and they have held on this point for so far.
I think that's the first big mistake I've seen from Feila so far this game. Just using kind of a solo Uber there on Joe, and we know what Joe is capable of, but that was a big ask for him to actually get much done in that situation without much support. But despite that, the rest of his team kind of collapsing and getting the kills there to make it actually a better fight. Tercio surviving though. His life is absolutely crucial at this point because now he has 100% in the bank. He's able to come forward, and this Uber is going to be absolutely huge coming in from inVision. They have to get stuff done. Stick actually gets bonked back there in the air. The Uber is going to achieve nothing than just space, really. They are going to get the cap time now, but Feila are ready to reinitiate.
Yet again, they didn't even lose all that many players forward. Unforgiven is going to equalize the things greatly in the backlines. Exile is going to get stepped down. Scout, really one of the main focuses of this damage on the midpoint that is on this very DM-centric map, is going to help them quite so well, as Joe has to take the solo Uber once again, only going to chase Wizard out. He doesn't even get the frag. They don't get any real frags inside this Uber. Buku gets stabbed, and right now inVision want to still fight this. Yes, Stick is walking forward. He's getting the damage, and he's killing Joe. Remo is going to get shot. Now Layla stabbed as well. They soaked this up because once again, CeeJaey, this singular Uber down to Joe.
Yeah, and it's so much pressure. It doesn't matter who you are or how good you are. If you're expecting one player to do that much damage and get the kills, you can do the damage, but you also need someone to maybe follow up, and Stick there gets 3, 4 on a kill streak, takes down Delt. And it looks like inVision are just going to chip away at the remaining cap time. The round will go to them. 21 seconds left on the clock for Feila, but Unforgiven there. 3 med picks during that first round alone really did open the door there for his team. It looked like Feila were in control, right? But it was those med picks that really just swung the tide.
Speaking about pick clusters, by the way, Core open the scoreboard. We see both snipers bottom fragging there. We should internalize that into the back of our minds, as I'm going to get to the point in a bit, but the combo fights are definitely more prevalent here, as well as the initiators there on the flank are definitely trying to mix and shoot some trouble up there. Kafka is going to get red early because Feila stayed passive in their own side, and therefore the windfall victim there, Dale, is in the air, survives that onslaught. Kazuki going to get detonated down in the front. Joe is a bit more aggressive than Stick right now, and they're getting this cap time on the point itself.
Yeah, Feila just being so much more aggressive this time. Before they were just sort of sitting back and soaking up the damage, and now, well, Axia with the 2 gets the backstab onto Sting, and then guns down with that. 2 huge picks, so much HP and damage potential off the field, and that's going to allow Buko license to roam, but Layla using the Uber just as she was about to die there, but now she's out of position. Grip's just pushing her back, and she's just going to get taken down there. Very, very easy med pick for inVision. And now maybe they can start turning that axle and start, tightening the screws, because they've got the heals on side. They can recapture the point. Just less than 40 seconds taken off there by Feila. And once again, they're on the back foot, but they are getting picks here, Domaytoe. That's 3 kills.
Yeah, definitely, but Grip has to get a lot of spotlight there as well. In this combo fight, he separated these splinter groups that Feila are putting themselves into even more so, and therefore they even won that fight, which didn't even look all that profitable for them. But the pick classes come in once again, as you said. X2 getting a stab there onto the inVision demo man. Stick is going to get Stick down to the ground, and Tercio might even get out alive here with his health intact, with his life intact even, which is the most important part, since they're getting hell chased out here on the left Sting, and only then surviving by crucial arrows. Pijaka, who was that? Exile is going to exile him out of this server, escort him. A bit in the time advantage right now, Feila.
Yeah, time advantage for them, about 30 seconds, but it's pretty much equal levers. inVision looking like they want to make a move. Kafka taking some space, and inVision are on the point, and that's going to trigger the Uber coming out of Feila, but it's going to be a much, much better Uber for inVision, as they, by virtue of the fact they popped so late, they're not really getting any kills out of it though. They do get the cap, so they're going to be trying to catch up in the time, but they're losing so many players. Was that Aztec, Stick, Grip, Iaka, all going down. Odin on a 3 kill streak will get those kills. Kafka flies in. Oh, Layla, she serves it away and stays alive, about 20 HP there. And advantage Feila now. They're approaching a minute in the lead.
While you were looking at this little skirmish there. I was fully expecting Layla to be top-notch and survive that. On the other hand, though, Tercio got chased out there by a spy scout combination, therefore lost his head. Speaking of heads, Stick is going to lose his head as he is going to try to peek that point. Definitely in the advantage right now, Feila. They're playing it better. They're separating these players, and the DM fight is quite so heavily focusing or favoring them rather when they focus down the inVision pick classes, and afterwards they're taking these combo fights, which is winning them this point, even though they give this point up for free right now.
Yeah, they're giving it for free, and Feila's just playing it a little bit more safe, I guess, in terms of hoping that it was, oh wow, Exile there taking a meat shot and surviving. I think it was an arrow?
Again! Exio is on the hunt with this little tinky revolver, and he doesn't need any damage output, you know? He just pew pew.
Pew pew, that's all it takes. So it takes, he's just getting these stabs, but then also using the Latroncha to great effect. It's like, I'm going to get a stab, and I'm going to also kill someone else in this life. He's getting so much value out of every life. So yeah, that's huge advantage now for Layla. 50% advantage, and inVision know that, but they know that there's no Uber in play right now, so they're getting aggressive. They're trying to get the cap time. They get so close to getting the cap, but they've lost a number of players for it. 3 down. And that's really a big opportunity lost, because, you know, getting the cap and falling back, but Axio is in there causing trouble again. He's got that little gun out. He's shooting Stick. He does get, that's a 4 kill streak with the Latronja alone. This man is just an absolute thorn in inVision's side right now.
All things and all praise aside for the pick classes, inVision are playing the basics, right? I think their composure is commendable to some point. The issue is they're always losing Tercio, so it doesn't really get spotlighted all that well. And there are 2 minutes in the deficit right now. Feila have this full Uber to use on, and 90% only on Tercio, even going to fall down. There are only some stragglers. Easy frag material there for the demo man almost. Everyone dying Kafka, even going to get the sword out there, or going to get sorted down rather by Joe, who is showing him some medieval times once again, tying the series up 1-1. This time it favored Feila so much because their pick classes are performing, which is I don't really like this sometimes, because it can be obliging to consistency, but they're killing the enemy pick class and they're taking these Uber fights.
Oh, absolutely. At the moment, Axio is getting so much value out of every single one of his lives. He's taking down Wizat, he's taking down Stick, he's taking down Sting, and he's getting so many kills every single time. Kazuki is just going in behind and causing so much havoc, and whereas that first round was very close, it did feel like Feila suddenly, it swung into their favor, and you can see this time they've lost a lot of players on the mid fight, so probably going to be playing a little bit more passive and backing up. But definitely, like you said, oh, Kafka! Oh, he's still alive!
Oh, he's still alive! He's trying to rearrange some facial features of the enemy team, slays down Odin, which is a great name, by the way, a really unique selling point, but in the end it is not going to enable them all that much. They keep their medic alive. inVision, though, with the first cap of this third round. Yeah,
and it's going to be equal loops, though. Both medics surviving. I think that's the first time we've seen that on a mid-fight. But again, Kazuki getting in behind, getting the kill onto the sniper, and Ubers are traded on the point. No snipers in play. Either team. Grip is just holding that W key and just holding mouse 1 at the same time. And if a pirate does that to your medic, there is a very good chance they're going to die. Layla goes down, is on the respawn, so it's only going to be a 20% disad, but that is a big reset for Feila. They have to regroup now and try again. And that time lead for inVision is just growing. It's going to be at least a minute before Feila are even in a position. And Wizat gets Joe. Feila really struggling to get into this round.
Yeah, Jesus. Exile got pre-piped there and then died immediately. Wizard is going to get stepped down there, and afterwards, then again, the scout, who was that Pijaka, out-DM'd the heavy point blank there, Odin on top right, so they already got that definitely working for them. The deathmatch on this flank, though Buko is trying to get his... Oh! His position developed. Layla who dies to stickies.
Yeah, he was just flinging damage across the point, and I think it was a combination of like a sticky he'd laid earlier and a pipe that she walked into that caused it. I'm not sure, but it's enough to get the kill. But in the end, the rest of Feila just like, okay, well, let's hold W, our medic's dead, and they managed to take down pretty much everybody. There's one player alive for inVision right now, so almost guaranteed that Feila will get this cap, and it is going to be a slim, like 10% advantage for Layla. So sometimes you have that on King of the Hill, where your medic dies and then your team's just like, let's hold W. let's just kill the enemy team, and then you come out with the advantage. So Feila finally getting some time on the board for this round, but inVision definitely looking the stronger on this third round.
Kosuki is going to read this positional wizard so early. He already knew that when he left that spawn, honestly. Like, he's always being this top right position. Kosuki once again goes there. Essex, so this time around going to meet him with the Frontier Justice crits. By the way, I think they have to play way more cautious about Grip. Grip is doing a great job separating the enemy team, but the flank of inVision always initiates too early and then dies. Kosuki is in though, he gets dealt with, gets a singular rocket onto these combo plays, but they want to take the fight to them.
Yeah, they're going in deep. There's going to be an Uber trader, but Tessie has much better Uber. They do take down Layla. Asix there is taking a flash of the Uber and chasing Odin across the point. That's what you want to see from your NG, wanting to get involved in the fights. And inVision, you know, just not rushing here. They're cleaning up the players that are behind. Exile is still lurking. He's got a slither of HP. He's got one Misha. Can he get another? He can't. And Tercio is going to survive there. One more Misha would have done the trick, almost sneaking in there and getting the kill. But inVision just playing it very methodically, cleaning up the players that were behind the point and then going for the cap. And right now it's looking very good for them. 1 minute left on the clock for them. They have at least, you know, coming up to a minute lead here, and they have about a 40% Uber advantage. Buko takes down Wiethoofd. Buko's on a 6 kill streak right now, and at the moment it feels like Kosuki is just on Wiethoofd non-stop, and Buko is getting a lot more free time to get those snipes down. And Feila at the moment are just being the ones to be aggressive.
Buko is easily winning those 1 versus 1s. Joe is going to fall down there, but the combination of Kafka's bomb and the sheer aggression of the forward pressure. Wow, the jump in though from Kosuki, forcing Tercio there out so close. Would have definitely dropped if he didn't pop right there, and that hands Layla a full 100% into her own hands. We see how they want to assimilate this aggression here onto the inVision side, as they pop so early there. Feila, honestly, their U was almost over.
Yeah, everyone's ignoring Asix on the point. It's got a Rankled Mini just being an irritation. inVision maybe trying to aggress here. Now they're only one down, and Layla goes down. It's Kafka who picks up the kill. He is also going to get Rambasaur. And that's pretty huge. It's pretty much free real estate for inVision right now to just plot themselves on top of the point. Del is alive. He's going to hold down.
Oh, wow.
But no, that's a complete wipe. And there we go. inVision retaking the lead on this map. It's pretty close right now. I think I'm seeing like a distinct difference in play between the flank of Feila and the flank of inVision. I'm seeing Piaka get involved a lot in sort of what's going on with the combo. I'm seeing Kafka go in and try to get like the medic forces, trying to go in deep. And Kazuki and Exile are they're just going in and going for the flank. They're going for the sniper. They're trying to get behind. They're just being irritating. And it's almost separating inVision, and it worked in the second round. And Kafka in again, just going in deep on the combo and making them turn around. You see how much space this is given inVision.
Layla is walking into him. Wizard is going to win the duel this time around. The Unforgiven coming in from the side flank. They're killing Joe. They're all forced out of this point already. Feila here getting forced to this low ground further on and into the health disadvantage. You could say that. What you said, you could also say the slim difference there was that Feila played this last push there absolutely ridiculously terrible. I'm sorry. They Ubered without even looking what was close there, and then their Uber was over and they were already left with their pants down as Wizard takes off Joe's head once again as he spawns. X is going to surf quite so sneakily onto that fence. He's not sitting on that fence all that long as they're going to use that Uber once again. They fail. It is into the skybox, juggled by the mini sentry. That Uber is in better duration though for inVision.
Yeah, it is much better, and this is, you know, every time you have that benefit. Oh no, look at Stick! Look at Stick, he's just walking forward. Stick by name, Stick by nature, just lobbing that damage forward. Axiom is going to get the opening there, and as soon as Joe hears that demo death, he's going to start walking forward with his heals. But Stick is getting so much damage down. In comes Kafka, he's going to land a couple of rockets, will not get any value. It's only Exile that he gets, but Layla stays alive. inVision do get the cap, but this is starting to look like a lot more like round 2, where things were very much more equal. Joe going down to Stick, and I feel at the moment, if people follow Stick's aggression, but Kazuki gets Tercio. Domaytoe, what's going on right now?
It's so clutch. I was looking at the Feila combo, kind of diminishing the the play stances of the other players that you just pointed out that completely wrecked apart the inVision combo. No, but Stick is in, and he sticks down Layla. Beautifully executed sticky jump in there, and on the door frame they go, and in the respawn she goes. This entire scenario there was defined by a lot of single players, which I don't really like because they were not all that coordinated together, but it worked in the end for inVision as well, since they have to grab this point, but they're in the time advantage after that anyway, and they have a slim 30 to 40% advantage. And Feila have to step back onto that point. Odin's so weak, trying to run away on the right side, seen from their own perspective. Mini Sentry is going to get dealt with, hopefully out that well. Unforgiven getting spotted in the side as well, but yeah, Feila trying to re-aggress on this point.
Yeah, I mean, Feila, they're over a minute behind now, and if inVision do win this round, they'll be taking the first map. So a lot of pressure on Feila. If they want to not go one map down in this series, they're going to have to start being a bit more aggressive. And oh no,
look at
Axio! He is trolling! No!
Just kill my dude, it's all over.
This is painful to watch. This is so painful. Tercio just getting blocked there by Axio, and then Kazuki joins in on the bullying to take him down, and maybe that's the catalyst. Maybe that's going to pump them up a little bit and say, hey, we've got a kill, we got the medic kill, we have 100% Uber in the bank now. And I jinxed it, Domaytoe.
Yeah,
there is Unforgiven.
Double points, 4 points. That was in a matter of 1 second there for Unforgiven, as you said. There is nothing to forgive. After that, he's on a 4K. He stabs all these players down. There's nothing to forgive, honestly, for that matter. They gotta feel the 4 there. Kazuki is on the left side. He's trying to sneak out and see what he can still do after his entire team got wrecked apart by a spy.
Do you want to know a little secret, Domaytoe, a little bit of insider?
Yeah, turn around and that knife. Joe is walking into the sticky trap. It's not a desirable and worthwhile playstyle to constantly keep your demo like down like that. Sorry, CeeJaey.
Kazuki just landed on top of Tercio, and somehow Rip was able to. I'm just seeing backstep. I was Unforgiven on a 3K again. What is happening? It's Axio versus Unforgiven right now. Kafka takes down Layla, and Uber is used by Tercio, who somehow survived a complete onslaught of players bombing. 2 seconds left on the cap. Feila have to get bodies on the point. It's going to be degrading in every second that there isn't a red body on that cap point. Grip is air blasting him away. Axio comes in with the gun, and actually Feila do have the player advantage right now in terms of the ones who are in the middle of the map, but it is just going all over the place. Kafka jumps in behind. He's the distraction. The cap is down to Feila right now, Domaytoe, but inVision are approaching, and Joe and Kazuki are dead. The spam classes aren't in action right now.
inVision have created 2 flanks, so there's definitely a pincer movement that is going to work. Let them see. They were so worried about the people behind, and that means inVision is going to take the very first map of our potential best of 3 tonight. And
see who was posting the big numbers.
I want to say some funny things as well. As I was pointing out, I don't know if it's a worthwhile or desirable position or playstyle for Joe to develop there, because in the rounds they lost, he always walked into sticky traps consecutively, and they were hot in his heels. You can say they realized, inVision realized how to focus the key damage maker there, but I think also there was definitely some lack there onto Feila protecting their central focus, which still Joe is. I mean, they have some pick classes, they're definitely performing. Looking at the funny numbers though, or even going to tie into that discussion, who has top devs? It's not Joe, it is Kafka. I mean, he has been doing well though, initiating in, so no blame onto him. This is how you want to play Soldier as well though, by the way, giving him the benefit of being on the winning team in that scenario. Top damage is going to come in from Unforgiven, 469, because he got a lot of backstabs. He got 23 backstabs, which is completely going to destroy damage numbers. Joe though, being the real top damage dealer there, 456 damage put out, and maybe you can go into the numbers a bit more in detail. I just want to point out one thing. Layla dropped once. I missed that.
Yeah, that was, I believe, in a backstab in the first or second round. But yeah, I mean, you take a look at the top kills. It is Kazuki on 28, Unforgiven 25, Axio 24, and Kafka also on 24. So the spies and the soldiers just being absolute beasts. And you pointed out 23 backstabs out of 25 kills for Unforgiven. the vast majority of his kills are the ones going in. He was getting those chain stabs, going in for the big value targets, the med, the heavy, things like that. When you look at med picks, Unforgiven has the most on the server with 4. But the one stat that I find really interesting among those top 4 players is Axio gets 8 sniper kills and Kazuki gets 9. And those two Feila players combined for 17 of the 22 deaths on Wiethoofd. They were just shutting down the sniper so hard, and that seemed to be their game plan. Just keep the sniper suppressed, allow Buko the freedom to snipe, but then obviously Buko was getting aggressed on quite a lot elsewhere. I guess they just ended up losing out on that combo battle because it's pretty equal across the board. You see the snipers are close, the pyros are close, the heavies are close. You know, Joe and Stick both hitting around 450 DPM. Layla just dying 11 more times, 4 more times than Tercio with 11 compared to 7. So, you know, it is pretty equal across the board. 3-1 maybe makes you think inVision had this in the bag quite comfortably, but in terms of the overall gameplay, it was pretty square across the board. So that's going to lead us really interesting into map 2 here, Domaytoe, because
it was really close.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, I think only one round was not all that close, since they had 2 minutes left on the clock inVision, and Feila didn't have, other way around. Feila had still 2 minutes to tick down, and inVision then won that round. You just pointed out the very likely trap that you can fall into when you only look at the numbers, because you explained how, for example, Buko only has 5 deaths fewer, but those deaths came into situations when, as you pointed out, they got aggressive because they didn't have the point, therefore he spawned faster, and Feila sort of won the fights when they shut down the inVision pick classes in the background and then took the combo fights, but inVision always had their flank initiate on the enemy combo or jump behind the enemy combo, and then they crushed them, and then the pick classes were just standing around completely uselessly and then got focused down, or they got focused down before inVision wanted to push.
inVision picked Cascade, inVision won Cascade 3 rounds to 1. Feila eSports picked Vigil as their map, which they did beat inVision on during the regulation season. So they'd be pretty confident going into this and hopefully squaring things up in their eyes. But if inVision win this map, Domaytoe, they'll be going to the grand final to face S26. As we're kind of setting up here, looking at these two teams, who do you think would be the better match against S26? You know, bearing in mind that, you know, they've won a number of the past few seasons. Do you think one of these two teams is capable of taking the title come the end of the season?
Into my recollection of notions, I would fit into we can compare both teams, how they fared up against SCCK in later or in former seasons. Which of these teams has more second place medals? This is first of all what I'm going to question here. I think inVision might even have a better shot in the grand finals. I don't want to be too critical onto Feila. I haven't really been convinced a lot by the plays that they're making, even though their combo fights are decent, definitely, but they have to pull more work with their pick classes, and I think that SCCK are definitely unforgivable onto allowing these openings, and they're going to exploit these openings to no extent. You have to win flank against flank, combo against combo, pick class against pick class. No other option is going to assimilate the deficiencies of the other sort of side of one of those 2 or 3 thirds. So I think inVision are definitely looking like the big, more complete package going into maybe the grand final. But as I talked about, you see, first point really doesn't matter at all.
No, Feila really not wanting to commit too much to that first point, because often you run the risk of losing an important player. And there we go, Unforgiven gets the backstab onto Buko, and Wiethoofd gets the headshot onto Delt, so no sniper, no pyro. That's almost inviting an exchange to come in. The Uber's going to be used. Layla hasn't used it. 5 HP, she's still not used. I'm scared here, but not using. Huge play there, and they've lost a lot of players. They've lost 4 players. They're all important players. The Uber does come out now, but it might be too late.
It's a bit useless right now. They're trying to clean up this flank here, and he's even playing a blind onto them. Kafka is still alive until then, going to get meat shot down there by Exile in the end. Layla turned her back to the spy and didn't even go into that spawn. I think Kafka was in before that and got so much damage in. They definitely got caught by a surprise there, but even might be able to settle on the second point after all.
Yeah, just kind of resetting, and it's basically equal Ubers. Layla did use a lot later, but is building fairly well, so it is a 10% ad here for inVision, which is always risky to push on in Highlander. Piyaka getting some cheeky cap time here, unnoticed, as there isn't a sentry up from Rambasaur just yet. And Stick and Grip just getting very aggressive, and the entirety of inVision getting aggressive. Kafka is in, manages to get the kill on Joe and escapes with his life. And that's going to be a free kill. A free cap. No, the Uber's going to come in onto Kazuki. He's trying to block the cart, and the flash from Tercio using that Uber keeps Stingan alive. It's 4 down for Feila right now. Only Grip being a casualty on the side of inVision, and that second point going down very quickly. 2 minutes and 8 seconds, and inVision looking strong at the moment.
Feila sold Joe there for free. They didn't even want to take this fight. They didn't even want to hold this point. At least they played like they didn't want to, because they played so passive. Then solo bomb from Kafka, 3 rockets into Joe, died, and then they were so passive already into their own spawn basically, and then they tried to reinitiate. Stick is going to get headshot though, and once again the second consecutive jump from Kafka is going to come in, gets dealt with though. Grip going to eat a pipe into his face, or going to take that through his filter mask there on the Pyro class SX, trying to be the singular engineer who is pushing the cart a little bit. He's building a level 3 sentry gun on the tracks. Actually, going to get spotted there by Stingan with a Tomislav on that side flank, and they have assembled some sort of order for the moment.
Yeah, Buko starting to pop some heads here on a 5-kill streak. Manages to take down Sting, and even he says, "Are you kidding me?" Maybe getting a bit surprised. Both teams have Uber, but it's 3 down for Feila. They have to be careful. Kazuki once again on sniper duty, taking down Wizard. The Uber is going to be traded. It's a much better Uber for Feila, and Exile wants to get in. He smells blood in the water. Rambo is going to be the one to get the Wrangler kills there, and inVision have to back off. They're going to try and repush this up the little slope. They don't have much power here. Delta's just going to be air blasting them away, trying to keep them away from that car, doing that mouse 2 job, and Rambasaur Sentry is just picking up kills. A big bombing from Kazuki lands onto Grip, and that should, hopefully for Feila, buy them enough time to reset. A lot of players down for inVision, but like I said, Domaytoe, those spawns are very long in the defense. 10 seconds left in the queue for a few players there. Kafka is on, and you can see Feila, they don't even want to risk it. They're already out, and they're saying, we've got to give this up and go to last.
Well, they could only risk it if they were brave in them to hold this with only 3 players. They are definitely the right call to go out, and beforehand as well, the soldier is going to get juggled out there. Kafka dying, really not a good time so far for Feila. Looking on this defense, they are looking so sloppy there, honestly. And let's see if inVision instantly plow this into the last point. Both Ubers are up on this third point. We really saw Deity doing a great job. I was complimenting the opposite Pyro beforehand, but they definitely did make amends for it. Unforgiven is going to get that sap onto the sentry gun, allowing Visit to peek in for free from this outside area for so long, but Buko is contesting him. Exile takes down Stinghand on that side flank, and Exio is still sneaking in from behind, getting that step even onto Wizard. So once again, maybe some semblance of order is going to get resolved there, but as I was pointing out before, and on the third point there really is Unforgiven is trying to sneak on that card. On that third point, Deity gave them almost free card, get out of jail for free basically, but the players then died somewhere on the flank, and therefore they couldn't hold that anymore. Looking good though now. Buko is going to deliver again. Yeah,
Buko taking up with that, and as it is right now,
Layla! He jumps around the crate expecting the dispenser. He gets the dispenser. He gets the human dispenser.
Yeah, I mean, if you hide in a dispenser, you become a little bit predictable. I'm not sure I don't know what else to say to that. It's going to be a free Uber in from Tercio and inVision. They don't really get any players other than Exile. Odin finally going down, but Layla is back up and delivering some heals. That cart is very, very close. It's going to be kills from Joe, reflect from Delt. There's going to be 2 players left alive. One of them's Exile. He's going to be DMing the people on the point. Joe and Exile, 2 of the players you probably want to be alive. Stinghand is going to take down Joe though, and the cart will go in just under the 6-minute mark, 5:57. And you know what, Domaytoe? I think, like, you have Curse of the Caster, where you say something and then, you know, it kind of gets... just the opposite happens. I was thinking in my head, we could have a stalemate here for a while, because, you know, Feila could just sit back and, as you know, they just have to absorb the pressure. They could just trade out as long as they've got an Uber. And then as I was thinking that in my head, yeah, Layla got backstabbed, and it's
just going to get the crit stickies forward here. As bad as that was losing Layla there, though. after this push from inVision, a lot of Feila players were still alive, and I was thinking they definitely have the manpower right there and the woman power to defend this point. The problem with that entire notion was that they were all clumped into spawn. If they would have taken this, for example, left side, where inVision didn't even push from, then they could have surrounded them from the high ground and maybe even take that fight to them. So not all was lost per se. Still thinking about this though, I think they can be still happy with 6 minutes. It is a medium time. Beforehand it was looking like a pretty harsh time for them.
Yeah, and you could see this, you know, even if it was approaching a 7-minute time, they'd probably feel a lot more comfortable, a lot more happy. But you know, losing in that sort of way is never going to be an easy pill to swallow. But Feila now in the blue, they're going to be trying to beat that time. First kill is going to be Wiethoofd onto Buko, and again, just seeing this really passive hold. You know, Wiethoofd on the high ground, trying to get some snipes on the players, pushing the cart. You see the flank, the Yaka Kavka, just kind of watching the cart, not really committing too much because, like I said, if you lose a big player at this point, then it makes your second hold much more difficult. But that teleporter does go down, so no more shenanigans of getting someone up onto that roof. And again, not really much happening. The cart's being pushed, and just kind of inVision are just dipping a toe in, really.
Inversely, with that sort of time in mind, Feila would have objectively seen the capabilities to really tighten the screws here. They're definitely squandering in 1 minute already on the first point, which is not looking all that promising. A lot of players are walking forward here. Exio doesn't really find anything because his flank went down and they can't initiate because the gun from S6 is still around this corner. Odin trying to gun it down with the help of Exile. They're going to take down this gun, so it's going to take some time to rebuild it. And if Feila are fast to push through this tunnel, they might even be able to execute this push without a gun being up.
Yeah, and if they can go forward here, you know, before that sentry gets up to level, it's up to level 2 now, which is probably the most important phase for it to be at. This was where a lot was lost by Feila before, and we do see losing a couple of players. Buko and Rambasaur go down. Exile goes down just before that Uber. The counter is going to be much better from inVision. They're just pushing them away. Stingan goes down, maybe the opportunity for a repush here, but they really do need to be pushing this point fairly quickly. They do not have, do not have very much time to play with.
Not 100% sure why they switched up the plan from pushing the tunnel. They got the flank down though onto inVision, and they want to tighten the screws right now from this push from the tunnel that I wanted them to do earlier, even so, as Grip is going to get blasted there into the other depths, or going to blast the opposing Pyro away rather. Essex going to fall, and they're going to take the second point here, or not almost. Grip is going to blast the enemy Pyro then again away, and they almost strong-armed this, and unfortunate for them, but the Scout is going to run forward, gets the cap like a hero.
Yeah, that cap is going to be really important because the spawns change, and you know what? Every player who dies now on the side of inVision is not going to be up for quite a while.
Flank down again.
Yeah, we got 3 players in the respawn queue for another 10 seconds, and you know, it's equal Ubers. If Feila just go in for a trade now, yeah, they can go in and probably take a lot of space, but they still got to wait for that cart to go through a lot of dead time. 3 minutes and 10 seconds. There's still a lot of time for them to work with in terms of getting it to the last tier, but they have to be aware that they don't, you know, they don't wait for too long. They need to feel the bit between their teeth, and they're going in onto Stinghand. He is going to get grilled down by Delt. The counter Uber comes in. It's going to be much better from inVision, but they've lost 3 actually. There is no sentry in place at level 1, which is really far back. Joe goes down, but look at Kazuki!
He's going to get the rocket though, he's going to get protected, they're so close! Stick and Tercio able to snuck away. Grip survives that onslaught not so much as he protects his more crucial players though, but there are 4 players down there and they want to plow forward here onto the side of Feila. Beforehand as well, we saw some great success of them pushing forward, as you alluded to. Buko is trying to once again peek from this very main area. They need to get the screws tightened, as I'm going to repeat myself. They still have this time window, 2 minutes, definitely doable for the last point.
Oh, they're in a better position now than, well, pretty much exactly the same position. Better position now, actually, than inVision were. They've got to this point faster than inVision did. But the big question is, are they going to be able to do it in one push? That's what inVision did. They got the drop onto Layla. Will they be able to do something similar here? Tercio and Layla both at around the 90% mark. Joe comes in. Actually, Tercio's not at Uber yet. He's at 98%. He has to back out into spawn. Finally does use that Uber, but are they going to get the kills? Buka gets a nice headshot to Biyaka. There's a lot of players going down for both teams. Layla has died to Kavka. Odin escapes with a slither of HP. Buka with 14 HP is still trying to get some snipes there.
From Remoso on the tracks, it's doing so much damage, it is causing so many headaches there for the defending team. Odin on the scout right now. Kazuki going to get the spawn. Huge air shot onto S6. They all conglomerate up onto that card. They get that tie, the sentry gun of a lifetime. And what didn't look all that profitable for Feila worked out in the end. With the repush, I wanted them to nail the repush, and they did that. Yeah, aside from this, maybe, I think the combo fights were interesting, but who is the standout player for you? I feel like the flank is doing decently, but as the curtain is going to roll down on the second round in our second map tonight, Vigil is going to get played and Feila taking the very first round of their pick. We see what both of these teams have in their banks, but who are the standout players for you so far?
Oh, standout. It's hard to say. I mean, I liked the aggression that I saw from the likes of Exile and Kazuki. They just really got into the faces. Kazuki had some great bombs that really opened things up. Both Pyros, Delt and Grip were doing some great stuff, playing around the cart, and getting cart pressure on this map is so important because if you get it up those little hills, those little ramps closer to the points, then that makes the enemy team say, hey, we have to try and block this. So I did like the pressure, and like I said, Exile was doing that and fighting and winning fights around the cart. So if Feila continue playing like that, I see they have that kind of... this map just suits their style. They like to hold W, they like to just initiate that chaos and then just continue thriving in it. And if you allow yourself to get drawn into that, then I think inVision are going to maybe have to think of maybe stabilizing a little bit. We'll have to see a little bit of a different strat this time. They don't have the teleporter up on the roof. Wizat just taking an aggressive peek but not getting anything this time around. And they're just going to be sitting back, and again, just a very, very passive play style. Honestly, I think if Feila do a similar sort of time here, the round's theirs. But I can see inVision switching things up maybe, and it taking them a little bit longer. We'll have to wait and see, but...
the Premiership quality of a Premiership team is obviously adapting, and they're trying to do just about that though, getting the frags there onto Feila on inVision's side. I mean, adapting a bit more onto this aggressive play stance. Joe's already going to the side and he's trying to flank them from behind. They lost their flank again, and Joe's coming in from behind. He's going to tighten the screws again, as I was talking about, and Tercio is going to get pressured. The sentry gun is about to get ready to shoot at Joe, who went behind. I think that was great initiative, but just about countered there. Doesn't really lose them all that much. Under 1 minute to cap the first point, and no Uber to be popped just so now.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been a lot worse if Feila, if Joe had stayed alive there, they could have maybe continued that momentum onto the second point, but he went for the med pick, and if he gets the med pick there, it's a completely different story. But in comes the Uber right now, very, very early on. Gonna throw Wizat up into the air. He might create it. No, does survive. Counter Uber comes in from Tercio, and Grip and Stick are just happy to just, push them out of that tunnel there and just sit. And it looks like it's going to be the big rotate from Feila. They're going to the low ground. They're going to do exactly the same as they did before. Kafka's going to go down. Odin is in the same position, but he goes down a lot earlier this time. inVision all word to the wise of what Feila were planning, and yeah, that's a bit of a fail push coming from them. It worked once, and what was it they say? Fool me once, shame on me, but fool me twice, shame on ETF2L. I don't know. Yeah.
Shame on ETF2L. Exactly. That could have been seen there, by the way, from miles away, that this wouldn't work, because the issue is they didn't get a single frag there onto inVision, and they tried to repeat the same scenario, but the problem is inVision were all buffed up. They had a sentry gun there which was ready, and they crushed them. They're trying to replicate the same sort of scenario right now, and Tercio doesn't have. He only has 90%. They're going to force him out there. Kafka dying, Buko winning that 1v1 on the sniper. Jewel there, Joe fighting that sentry gun down. They have so much pressure there. Tercio loses his head, CeeJaey.
That was absolutely insane. I don't know who opened the shutter. I think it might have been an inVision player. I think an inVision player opened the shutter, and Tercius just chilling in the corner. He's vibing. He's thinking, I'm okay here. I don't need to use my Uber. I'll wait for the call. And Buko just removes his head from his body. And that is absolutely huge. Like, at the moment, Feila just wanting to hold W. As soon as they get Uber, they want to go in, they want to trade, they want to get the Ubers out of the way and just keep fighting. And that could have all changed there. A counter Uber from inVision would have been absolutely devastating. They would have reclaimed second, but as it is going to be Feila with the bit between the teeth. Asics getting backstabbed by Axio. That sentry is going to be right for the plucking right now. And Feila definitely with the bigger momentum right now.
Speaking of ripe for the plucking, there's no point usually in gilding the Lily, but they should definitely pressure the sentry gun more. Essex is going to spawn, it's going to stay alive. Stinghan is going to separate him out, as Heavies apparently do these days on this map there on the far right, as Joe's going to push in there, gets greatly denied by Grip and waiting for Tercio to get his Uber. He almost has Uber, has it right now, probably going to use it to save Stick. They're getting so much progress onto that card just so now, but Stinghan surviving, the Spy getting caught there in the backlines, and they have held on for the moment.
In comes Kazuki. He is not going to get a second rocket off onto Tercio because Grip has Mouse 2, and as we know, Mouse 2 on Pyro is the strongest thing in the game. If you read Reddit or things like that, it drives people insane. But it's enough to stop Kazuki from getting Tercio, and I think we have entered a moment of calm. Equalubers, Feila kind of poking and prodding. Buko gets the headshot onto Asics as he's carrying his sentry. Means the sentry goes down with him to his
what
grave.
is she doing? She's in from the far right hip. Why is she walking in alone? Just about gets out with like 20 HP. Joe had to body block, blows himself up there. Bit of an iffy play there. They still have this Uber advantage. They wanted Joe alive probably for this Uber push once again, since Tercio doesn't have. Grip is going to get backstep. I think inVision are going to give this point up regardless.
Yeah, you know what? I was watching the HP there, Domaytoe. She went down to 4 HP, nearly died. And again, that would have been the difference between inVision holding third quite comfortably and what is happening right now. With Feila getting the cap.
Big bomb from Kazuki into Tercio there, forces the Uber out. Feila on a 30% advantage.
Yeah, and Asics is dying a lot. They're getting a lot of pressure onto the engineer. He's not been able to just sit and do the engineer thing where you just kind of whack your sentry and have a chill time. No, he is getting focused hard, no sentry. And it does look like we're getting a pause here.
All of you can queue up for this wonderful digital lecture, by the way, as we're going live once again from CeeJaey and from me. We have to see when the course starts after we just gave this analysis. They gave us the time though in this pause. I'm going to be an advocate for Twitch though right now. You can think maybe inVision just got rolled instantly and they're screaming and mumble right now. Sort of, oh no, we lost, we have to get our S together, or we have to get our A game together, I suppose. So let's see what Feila can do here in this incoming Uber push.
Here it comes, Delt taking the majority of that, gets launched into the skybox. Grip is going to go down, Stinghan's going to go down, that sentry goes down very, very easily. Tercio takes a pipe from Joe, but he's going to live. He's getting shot, and he's only got Asics for company. Here comes Odin, he comes forward, he's going to take 1, he's going to take down 2, he takes on Dispenser. Stick is going to be the one to try and get some stuff done, but Exile and Randall on that car.
So close there.
A med pick for the Logs, Dom, but it's not going to be enough to stop it.
So close. Odin, as you often describe, was a raid boss. He's going in there for 450 HP or close to that, gunning everyone down. Gets headshot or dies to multiple sources of damage. Then Layla dies in the background, but that didn't deter the flank from focusing the objective. Get that rolly card right onto that point, and 6-minute time on the dot. 6-minute time. This is definitely a statement here.
Absolutely. I mean, if we look at it, 6 minutes is actually longer than it took for inVision to cap in their attacking phase in that first round. You know, that was a 5:57. So if you're inVision and if you're trying to stay calm, you're trying to be pragmatic about this, you'll say to your team, hey, if we do what we did last time we attacked, we win this round. You know, but I would also say that time was not fortunate, but it was based on a big play by Unforgiven getting that drop onto Layla on, you know, in the dispenser on last. If that hadn't have happened, it would have probably been like 30 seconds, a minute longer. And that's when you start to think, okay, we need to really, you know, pull up our socks and get something done here, because Feila have definitely made a statement with these 2 attacking pushes back to back. And now it's time to see if inVision have got something else in the works.
You gotta, if you're in inVision shoes, you gotta put that off as a little transpositional error. That first round didn't happen. We're onto easy and even grounds right now. Actually going to get spotted there by the Detonator of all things, hiding on this little rock, going to get a Spicicle out though. So very, very sneakily from him getting out. Wizard is trying to get something working on the tracks, does get pressured there though by Axiom Piyaka. Finishing off Kazuki on the flank though, Layla! Dice! You called out Unforgiven. He does it again.
Yeah, I mean, what have I said every single time someone's attacked on this point? On first, you do not want to lose anybody important, and one of the most important classes in TF2 is your medic. It's Layla in this. It's Layla. You can't allow your NG, you can't allow your sniper, and you can't allow your medic with Uber to die in that position, because now you do not have a chance to hold on to second unless you're absolutely perfect. The Uber comes in, grip and stick. They're going to be taking a lot of that Uber, but Axio comes in, saving the day, gets the backstab onto Tercio, and maybe, just maybe, there is a chance here. Stinger is hiding. Stinger's hiding, Dom. They don't know he's there.
Oh, he's going to come in though. Layla's going to get gunned down. They clean some stragglers up though. I think still Feila have a chance here to hold on to the third point. Not if they lose their flank. They're on the card though. They're going to lose the flank. Pijaka is still pushing this forward. There was a little time window there for inVision to even equalize, or sorry, for Feila rather, to equalize things as the spies in from behind. Extra steps. Wizard gets some gunshots there onto the offensive medic, but they have claimed the second point and have around 4 minutes for 2 more points.
Okay, so
let's take a breather.
I need to have a breather. I need a drink, man. 20% advantage for Tercio. Look how aggressive grip and stick are being. The two of them just sticking together there, and was actually going to get the headshot onto Joe. So no demo for the defending team. 25% advantage is quite a big deal, like I was trying to put across during the downtime we had in that pause. And it's going to be a lot harder to do without a demo and without a soldier. It does look like they're taking this far side now. They are tipping over to that 100%. Layla at 80, 85. The Uber comes in. It looks like they just want to back out here. Kazuki blocking the point, getting some damage onto the cart pushes, but it's not going to be enough. Actually, Layla gets over to the 100%. There's so many kills happening. There's 4 players alive. For Feila, can they get any kills? No, Stinger is using the card to block. It's Joe, 60 HP, it's a wipe! How do you wipe?
Yeah, how do you full steam wipe there? I wanted to say, good that they got their Uber. They anticipated the core and the nucleus of, which is a fancy word for core obviously, but in the nucleus part of that push. But then they all died somewhere. They took 1v1s, or they didn't take 1v1s. They didn't have enough players in that Uber. They only relied on Odin to clean everyone up, but it's heavy on a low ground. Everyone is going to go like away from him, and right now they're giving this huge opportunity once again to inVision. 2.5 minutes there, and Uber advantage going to that last point. No engineer as well.
Yeah, engineer goes down. This is almost exactly what we saw while we were waiting for the pause in the previous round. An advantage for the attacking team. inVision have it in their hands right now to win this round. They have an Uber, and there is no sentry, there is no other Uber. Kavka goes in like a speed demon, just gets eliminated there. Not much happening. The Uber comes in, Grip taking the lead, Delt doing the best he can just to push them away. They're going into the spawn here to try and get some time. The car isn't actually at the ramp just yet, but the people need to come out of the spawn if they're going to block it. Here comes Joe throwing the stickies. Is it going to be enough? Stingers on the car. Exile's going to clean up one. Piyaka's there. He's going to try and take the fight, but it's not going to be enough. Asics is the only one really in a dangerous position. Kavika comes in as well. Kazuki kills himself with his own rockets. Asics there. He's going to push the car by himself. Axios, he's invisible. He can't block it. Oh no, it goes in, and they are going to take the second round of this map, Dom. I don't know if my heart can take it right now. We're all square on Vigil, and we're going to go to a third round. We'll have to see. If you're just joining us, you've missed a hell of a lot of action, but we got more to come, and this is a crucial point. This is the third round now of the second map, Vigil. We are tied 1-1 between Feila eSports and inVision. inVision are 1 map to the good. They won Cascade 3-1, which was their map choice. This is Feila's map choice. And if Feila do not win their map choice, then inVision will be saying, see you later, we're in the grand final to face STCK. But if Feila do win this round and take Vigil, we'll be seeing ProPlan as a decider. And you know what? Me and Domaytoe can't decide. It's a close game. I don't know if anyone watching can think, see a gap between them, who's going to take it, because as things stand, this round is probably the most important round these two teams have played all season.
And if someone from the almighty and all knowledge Twitch chat does know, write it in Twitch chat, we can swap you out in an instant, and then you can show in the game itself how it works. But all that aside, the gates are going to open up. We had some crit sticky shenanigans once again from the defensive side. inVision is going to heal their own sniper. Wizard was trying to peek from the forward ground. Backs out though, his life is a bit more important for him to getting an offensive player down who is then only on a 2-second respawner. Some stickies there getting plucked onto that crest hill, but Unforgiven gets absolutely reflected into bits by Delty. They're reading the spy situation, and again, Feila have to make a huge amount of work to get themselves into that deciding map on the offensive phase.
Always stings a little bit more when you get reflect killed by, something you've not shot. When your teammate does the shooting and then you're the one who dies to the reflect, you're just kind of like, really, bro? Really? But not many people of note dying. I'm not no disrespect to those of you who are in the kill feed right now, but we're not seeing any major deaths on the side of the defense, like, the medics. We are seeing a force though. Tessie used Uber, and that is absolutely huge, because now Feila have that huge Uber advantage to push on to second.
I saw the flank running into the sentry gun there, the offensive flank, and apparently they must have gotten some damage through as to make Tercio force there. And we have seen not a singular team really holding this hill aggressive right now, and I think they could maybe even try this to compromise the situation, try to force Layla and Feila early, but they want to push from this tunnel once again because it worked for them beforehand and they have this Uber advantage. They're getting a lot of damage. Down Wizard is still in behind and completely caught out of position. There are only 4 players up here on the side of inVision.
Yeah, this is absolutely massive. I mean, again, they just decide to go through that tunnel. They love the tunnel push here, Feila. The big thing for inVision is the fact that Tercio survives. He now has about 80%, but look at Feila. Look at their positioning right now. They're already going in. Kazuki and Joe do die. So much pressure, and that's probably going to be enough to allow inVision to, regroup and kind of get some sort of sentry, something set up on third. But it's already a fast at 136 for the first 2 points, and Layla's at 75%. So in a few seconds, they're going to be ready. Wizak is down to a backstab, so no sniper. It's going to be a lot of pressure onto Stick here to make sure that they don't come around this corner for free. It looks like Feila want to push in. They're only at 95% though, and I think inVision just want to leave. They don't want to take the fight.
They didn't even realize that the slim Uber advantage, there's so many players. Grip is going to die once again after he respawns, and allegedly, I think, Feila realized that they had the advantage, but their own spy is going to give them an even bigger one as they're trying to plow into this last point. Delty, they're reflecting some stuff away. They try to get some players forward, which don't really matter if they die, but Unforgiven gets the medic. And that matters if your medic dies, because you can throw some players forward to get the force or try to get the force, but you can't lose your medic in that scenario.
Absolutely. I mean, you know what? As things stand, it's not as big of an issue, I guess, as it was, in that previous round. You're not losing your medic in a situation where it's going to cost you the round, but that momentum is definitely going to be stalled somewhat. They had equally the situation. We know Feila just like to go in and take the trades. They would have probably gone in, taken the trade with the Ubers, and then repushed, and maybe the round could have been won in less than 4 minutes. As it is, they're only at 50% right now, but Stingan is down, backstab by Axio. Look how much card time they've got. They've got it up to the ramp already. And, they're not waiting for this Uber. They keep getting the pressure. A lot of players dying, and inVision now able to take a little bit of this space, get a bit of aggression going on. Later at 90% though, as soon as this Uber's ready. Oh.
It is crit streak as well.
Okay.
They had the foot full on the gas pedal there, the pressure was so much, and the players survived for even that long. They had no right to do. Layla is trying to sneak out with Joe. They're going to hit the crit. They're going to explode Tercio into some bloody piece. I'm sorry if your guinea pig just jumped up high for my voice pitching. I think I'm going to get absolutely evicted out of my new flat right here, but they completely blow them out of that server. Only 2 players left alive, CeeJaey.
if you want the perfect sticky in that situation, who do you want to get rid of? You want to get rid of the medic and the Uber, and you want to get rid of the engineers at the sentries free pickings. And it lands, and it takes down Tercio, it takes down Asics, and you know what? You couldn't ask for a better push there. Honestly, other than the drop onto Layla from that Uber, you can't really fault anything that Feila did during that entire attacking phase. 4:28 is...
Is 8 seconds too long? But it is pretty juicy.
It would have been good, but I mean, you know what? If you're Feila, I'm guessing they're hyped right now, and I think inVision, that's gonna sting, man. It's gonna
sting, man. Really?
It's not gonna sting, Anne. It's gonna sting, man. Because you know what? You don't wanna. You're sitting there and you're thinking, we got the drop onto Layla. We're good. We just take an exchange, and that crits comes in, and you drop and just get completely destroyed. They're gonna be like, you know what? They're not going to be happy about it, obviously. They know that it's within their repertoire, though, to get fast times. We saw them do a fast time earlier on in that previous round. They got some big picks. It's all to play for still, but definitely this is kind of like, you know, if this was tennis, you'd be talking like 30 love to Feila right now. You know, you're getting close to getting that game under wraps.
Are talking about the love triangle again? I'm a bit curious. I'm a bit afraid even if they go head to head here. CeeJaey, in all of that though, I think they already laid their foundation, and that just worked so well because they played the points before that beautifully, and then this drop was really the cherry on top. They definitely plowed through them, and it was really a miraculous sticky right there. Not sure where the pyro was, doesn't really matter. It was a really good play in all of that, and both medics on Uber, so no crit shenanigans. They're really Odin getting quite weak there on that side tunnel, but there has to be some miraculous plays being exerted here out of inVision to even salvage this round.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't look like anyone is dying at all right now. Feila not taking any risks whatsoever. They just want to play it cool and make sure that they have an Uber ready. They're going to use the Uber really early on, actually, and they're going to clean up the players pressuring through tunnel. But you know, they get Stick, they get Kamka and Stingen, but that's the only players who are there, so they don't lose any players. They don't lose their sentry or anything like that. But with the Uber out of play now, Tercio has that 100% charge, and this is almost a mirror image of what we saw earlier on, because Feila got the force and they were able to push. So we'll have to see whether, you know, inVision can execute this properly now.
And inVision want to replicate what Feila did. They want to push from the tunnel, and Stick is going to get dislocated there early on by that Uber from Date, and he's going to reflect him out, even gets the reflect onto Kafka. Grip is going to lose his head as well as Exile comes in. They come in huge, they clean up house. Nobody is left on these tracks anymore. Tercio, lucky and happy to get out alive. 40% advantage though onto Layla and ticking. They are looking so strong. Only 1 minute they need to tick down, and that's probably even going to be mathematically impossible.
Yeah, I mean, as we start to approach, you know, that time where it is impossible, there is still a chance, because this map can be, you know, can be camped very, very quickly. But Layla at 100% now, they're gonna know they have to get that Uber out of her hands, and she has got her back to the wall. She's inside a dispenser. She has a level 3 sentry, a pyro, a lot of people for company. Was that Stinger going down to the cleaver there? Just to add insult to injury, and it's starting to look like Feila are gonna, you know, be in complete control of this second point. inVision struggling to find some solutions, whereas this second point for them normally went down very, very quickly. We'll have to see, because 2 minutes is still, I think, possible, but it's a lot to ask for. They do get the force though, Dom.
Full advantage, almost. No, never mind. It will be a trade, but Deity once again dislocating these, or relocating rather, these inVision players, but Stingen afterwards, as the Uber was over, he had to commit though, going to get absolutely wrecked apart from these tracks areas. And there's beautiful symbiosis of these flank and combo members of Feila. The combo sort of is baiting a little bit back, because they're not holding this this hill here aggressively, as the soldier is going to try to take this shed on the blue stance, but Joe is going to fall down. They have to go in here though with three players on that card. They don't even have the personnel for that anymore, CeeJaey.
Yeah, they just don't have the bodies for it. The pressure came in from the front. We saw Kazuki just jump into the bundle of weak players and then jump out again, and Axia comes in and gets a couple of kills. You know, it's just that cohesion that you need to have. They know inVision are under pressure to get get forward and get things done, and they know that's when there's going to be openings. And as it turns into the 1 minute mark, I do think that's going to be a GG for this map, and we will be seeing ProPlant, because there's no way inVision can get this cut all the way to the end in the current circumstances. They will not even get an Uber just there because they're going to be taken down. Exile and Piyaka, the two scouts, simultaneously taking down the medics. And it's probably going to just end here. 35 seconds left on the clock. It will be Feila who take Vigil 2-1. And you know what? Every map has been close so far. ProPlant is going to be the decider to see which one of these will make the grand final. And honestly, I just think Feila looked extremely strong on this map. They definitely, you know, that second round, I'd say that they lost it more than inVision won it. You know what I mean? I feel like they made mistakes that led to the result rather than inVision doing extremely well. Whereas on Cascade, it felt like inVision were in control most of the time. We're going to be going on to a different Koth map. It's going to be too close to call.
Ah, almost getting the second cap there. Sorry for the anticlimactic, but Stinger was on that card. Man, he deserved that. Right now he's going to get socked in the mouth. What you talked about, I think that might be a bit too... I don't even want to say it. Now I'm the one saying that you're too critical. I don't know since when that has happened that it's going this way around, but inVision had some decent plays, definitely. Feila definitely being the playmaker here and being the one that lead this entire game and play it on their own consequences, on their own scenario and how they want to play it, basically. Aside from that, though, some miracles for them happened. For example, like getting the drop 2 times in really crucial moments, and then they lost the second round by getting the drop onto them. So you can sometimes see how consistency plays into that not even mindset, but into that narrative, I suppose. I think inVision didn't look like a pushover there in the literal meaning of words, but definitely Feila showing here why they picked this map, and they showed they are so strong they even want to take maybe ProPlant as a little greeting gift there, and then take that greeting gift all the way to the grand final against SCCK. They're definitely here to stay, and we have a quick peek, as always, onto these very, very boring numbers. Or are they boring?
Numbers boring? What are you talking about?
You see that 1, that 2, 5 medic drops. No, I don't see 5 medic drops.
Looking at damage though, Joe, the only one to dip over that 400 DPM mark. Got a number of players in the 300s, but Joe with the most on the server. Most kills though was Zat with 36 in 36 minutes. Obviously there was a bit of pause time as well. And then we have 3 players on 27. Piyaka, Doubt and Axio. A bit of a mix-up compared to what we saw on Cascade, for sure. But Axio, again, putting in a big shift, getting those picks, getting those kills. Piyaka, you know, getting that card time, but also getting the kills as well. And Delta's chipping in on Pyro, doing a big job. Looking at the rest, you know, a lot of equalness, I guess you could say, going across. You know, Asics there did get focused pretty hard, but getting the same amount of kills as Rambo, 25 apiece, 7 medic deaths for Tercio compared to Layla's 12. So Tercio dying, you know, almost half the amount of Layla despite being on the losing team. 3 drops for Layla, 2 for Tercio. And you know what, Dom, I think a lot of those drops really changed the course of the rounds, because they just kind of, like I said, because of how compact the fights are on the points, having a drop happen in such a situation like that, it usually ends with the other team winning the fight. Waiting. Oh, it does look like we are readying up. It's going to be a matter of seconds. If you're just joining us, this is the 3rd and final map of the Season 26 Premiership semi-final. These 2 Highlander teams have been going at it for a while now. Cascade was inVision's choice. They won it 3-1. Feila picked Vigil and they won it 2-1. We're now on ProPlant. This is the decider. It could go to 5 rounds or it could be all over in 3, but whoever wins it will be going to the grand final to play SCCK. And as it starts, inVision getting the opening frags. Wizat takes down Buko and Kazuki also down, and inVision just have so much presence on the point right now. They are going to get the opening cap of this map. And already just retreating back and sitting there, Dom, in that favorite position where they just chill and just ready to soak up the pressure.
Kafka jumped behind, tried to get something, got a red early though in that lobby, and this entire mid-fight was basically won by Wizard putting his foot down and killing Buko there though, saying this Buko spawns takes the head out of Wizard. Quid pro quo, I can do as well what you can do, and they're all on this point here right now. Uber exchange is going to come into effect. Buko is going to get stabbed, Stick is going to get stabbed, but the Uber exchange is probably going to be a bit better right now for the red side as they had a longer Uber.
Yeah, and it works out so well for Feila. I was watching Axio during that, and he was just bold as anything, just waiting to try and get the stab, and it was all of it like a second and a half, and he would have got the drop onto Tercio, and as soon as they used the Uber, he was able to just get the kill onto Stick, and that just took the demo straight out, completely out of the fight. So Feila able to collapse and win it, and they will take the lead in terms of time, and now they've retreated back to that left corner to sit and just wait for the pressure, the inevitable sniping attempts, the inevitable sacks, and it is going to be Buko getting the edge in this SVS so far. I think it's 2-1 already, and just kind of sitting in the pressure, you know, seeing Exile take down Utka, and at the moment, it does look like Stick wants to maybe get a little bit aggressive with Grip and maybe take a trade. They do use the Uber very, very early, Dom.
Great rockets there from Kafka to open all this up, because right now Feila have a pretty weak, or rather have the discrepancy there in comparison to inVision, but inVision don't want to get aggressive just so now. They want to walk right now though. Buko is so weak and they're going to get reflected down. The Dating is going to work onto that mouse too, and Kafka playing as well. Wizard taking the head out of Joe, requesting those snipers to perform is really eponymous of what they have been able to deliver so far, as Buko is still staying in. He's even going to survive that as Utka gets dealt with. Like, slim margins mattering again there. Insane.
Kazuki bombed in and hits a rocket, and he gets so much damage onto Tercio and Stick. He does get Stick craters in the end, but Tercio was like 20 HP as well. And now they're retreating into the underground, and you know, if Feila are aware of this, they could be pushing. They could get flanked here, but they could also have cleaned up because there's not very much resistance or protection onto Tercio. Kafka goes for the bomb. Tercio is still on that low ground. Does have replacement company, but the sticky trap is going to be no players in Uber except for Grip. They're going to have a better counter Uber here. Feila, Kazuki on the high ground, able to get some spam onto Tercio. He will go down to Exile on the cleanup crew, takes down Stick as well. And things are looking much, much better for Feila right now, as Tercio is still in the respawn queue, but only Buko down for the side of the Reds.
Kafka got completely denied. He's the only one really trying to proactively make something work there, and we as the casters always have the chronicler's duty there to point out what happens after that sort of Uber exchange goes down, but there's only one thing that is going to happen when Feila have such a much better health advantage there and have the better Uber management, because there's so many players there on the side of inVision still losing players. Axio sticks his knife into Stick, falling down. Odin still, as I was saying, with this unique selling point of being the top god of the Norse mythology, is just going to walk forward. Nothing is going to fathom him. No scare, or, you know, nothing really scares him. No fear at all. He scares the enemy team out. Feila are looking so strong. It's insane.
This is what they're good at, this map. They know when to sit passive and wait for the sacks, wait to soak up the pressure, and they know when to get aggressive, you know, because at the moment there are players on inVision who are trying to, you know, go forward and get stuff done. Kafka's coming in from behind, there gets 2 rockets onto Layla, does get the force. Tercio doesn't quite have the Uber yet, but he is safe and sound. I think Axio's there though. The revolver takes him down. Tercio was so far away from that Uber, he had no worries whatsoever, but no one was watching behind, and Axio was able to revolver him down. And despite the fact that Feila have lost so many players, they are going to win the round because no one's at the point. It's 1-0 to Feila, and if you're a medic and you're thinking, I'm in a good position here, I don't have to worry about getting caught out by the Uber, you have to count on at least somebody protecting you from the spy.
There was also the Funny Pyro denying anyone from getting onto that point. The Funny Pyro in the fray, by the way. Tercio maybe has that, I don't know, rage core, probably not, but they're switching to the crits right now, so let's see if those alternative medigun usages can come into effect. It definitely worked for Feila. Onto Vigil. Is it going to work for Tercio there? The great pipes that came in from Joe but didn't really connect there, as Grip had amazing reflect. So access to that reflect, as Wizard is going to get jumped. They're stinging a bit too late on the draw on the heavy weapons guy to save his own sniper, but they have the crits advantage right now. Let's see if they can make it work.
He comes in, and Feila are so gone. They booked their ticket in advance. They have gone. They have rotated to the other side of the map, and
to no man's land.
Definitely not comparable to the crits we saw earlier. And now there is a full Uber advantage in the hands of Layla. Buko is going to take down Stick as well for an opening frag. In comes Kazuki. Big bomb actually gets so much damage, and Axie is there to clean up the kill. They don't even need to use the Uber. They do for the rest of the kills, but it is an absolute huge play from Axie and Kazuki combining just to get the medic down, and it's just free. It's just free for the rest of the Feila players. They do get their first cap, but only 34 seconds off of that initial cap for inVision. And you know what? The crits was probably a strategic point. We're going to do this instead. We're going to try and mix things up, keep them guessing. They're back on the medigun. The experiment didn't work. They have an uber disadvantage now, and at the moment, inVision seem to be struggling getting into the game.
The paper trail is definitely going to direct to that Feila flank. They're opening up these doors wide open. I like the crits usage there, even though it really didn't get executed all that well, but it was, I think, one of the more correct notions we've seen tonight. Wizard are going to get stepped down there. The damage output is heavily favoring Feila so far. Grip is also going to lose his head. They have really weak players on the side of Feila, but if those players don't die and get healed up, then they might even be able to fight this because they have the full Uber up.
Here comes the Uber. There's a lot of players weak. There's a lot of players able to be killed. Stick manages to get away with 51 HP. Maybe people didn't realize how weak he was because that was a free kill for the taking. In comes the Uber through the main doors. Grip gets launched forward actually into Joe, who goes down to Wizat in the end. Grip actually styling here with those flare jumps, getting up onto the high ground, and Rampasaur goes down. But, you know, the respawns are in, because Feila don't have the capture point. They have those faster respawns. They're able to regroup on the other side and try to get themselves back into a position ready to push. It is actually in the lead now for inVision, and there we go. Joe goes down to the sniper again. And Feila, you know, we were singing their praises a few seconds ago, Dom, but now it seems like they're the ones struggling to kind of break this hold.
Wizard is still sitting on these only 9 points, but he's delivering on them so far right now. He is on a 3 kill streak, going to kill Deity is where Extio is gunning, or revolvering out people that we have seen in the past go down to him as well. And right now, Layla is still sitting on this 100%, and they're waiting for Tercio to build his Uber up. They are slowly reaching that, well, advantage of the times. Not really though, as Tercio is going to respond in kind there onto Grip.
The Uber exchange is going to be awkward.
It's really derpy.
Layla gets headshot in the end, as does Buko, who's on a 5 kill streak right now, starting to hit some of those heads, and it's giving them over a minute advantage here. Oka's going to take down Exile. Feila have, despite being in control for the first sort of, you know, round and a bit of this map, at the moment, it looks like inVision are not going to let go of this point. They have not managed to get close to Tercio, get close to Stingan, Wizat, Stick. These players are being very well protected. They're helping each other out. And Axio is lurking behind them, waiting for him to go for some sort of play here, because less than 30 seconds, Feila need to do something. There's no Ubers in play here. They're going to go in dry. Huge bomb from Kazuki. He's going to get a bunch of damage down. But it's actually going to be Feila starting to clean. It's 5v3 right now. And I think they're trying to escape. Tercio falls down.
What?
Rambo!
No, he jumped down. He jumped down to give... What? Okay. So they let Joe walk in for free, get so much damage, and this is how they won the fight. And right now Tercio is saying, ah, come on, we can do this even with a medic down. Come on, 18 seconds. Easy game. We just forget that this just happened. We also have to point out some idiosyncratic pushes once again that Feila are doing. They're sometimes only solo Ubering onto Joe. Right now, inVision are trying to punish this once again. They're getting the cap time, and Grip is going to deny a great deal of this Uber usage. They're going to force that Uber and have their own medic survive. Oh no! Tercio is getting chased. He's so weak. 70 HP, but does survive.
Again, Delt this time showing his skills with the flare jump and using the hammer to take down Wizat, just getting the players down any way they can. Exile on a 3 kill streak right now. He was cleaning up a little bit there, but Tercio 70% needs to stay out. It's all against Kazuki and Axio again. Kazuki flies across the map, lands on top, and Axio is there. They're like a tandem. They're working together, and Axio is there to get that last revolver shot and take down the medic, and that was crucial. 10 seconds left on the clock. inVision in control, but they don't have heals right now.
What is crazy is that inVision are still looking in good shape in spite of that, even though they probably have to show how they can recap that point. Our Feila going to cap here. Joe is walking in alone forward again. He's probably even going to get picked off. He's so weak. He's going to burn down there, and the pause is going to come in.
things have been so chaotic. Maybe someone wants a sense of...
The skip jump of a lifetime. Kozuki is still on. Turse is going to get completely cut out there. Brilliant, brilliant. This is why you practice the rocket jump maps there. What a skip jump that was, completely.
I was on Kozuki, he was too fast.
Denying any sort of doubt of us, you know, him catching up with Tercio that we had before.
Yeah, so it was less than a second he was alive. So as it is right now, we do see a lot of cap time coming in from inVision. If they capture the point, they do win the round because it's overtime. Joe actually getting onto the point now. He gets a pipe onto Tercio and he's going to take him down. inVision they put all of their eggs into that one basket and they completely wipe.
And the basket explodes. It's Easter, man.
There's eggs everywhere,
man. And everything is going to blow up in their face. They have only one last sort of exchange there, and they might even be able to get into this fight before Layla gets, but they really have to get into this fight before Layla gets over. They have still some cap time, but losing players this CeeJaey, it's really not optimal.
Yeah, Grip goes forward, gets backstabbed, Kafka's in and already dies, and you know, if they get that Uber, it's pretty much it. There we go, the Uber's going to be used onto Joe, onto Delt. They're just going to be cleaning up the players here. They stand on the point. It's going to degrade, double overtime, and it's going to be 2-0 to Feila. This is match point now for Feila, the first match point that they've had in this series, and this is exactly where the pause happened, it seemed, during in between rounds. So maybe it was a strat talk by one of the teams, we don't know, or maybe a technical issue, but if Feila wins the next round, they will be going through to the grand final, and they will have reverse sweeped inVision here. A lot of pressure on both sides. It does look like we've had that glitch, Domaytoe, and both teams have Uber.
So we inferred correctly, by the way, to the cause of the pause, but both medics have Uber, I suppose, but since it's equal, I think it is going to work. I mean, you can't change it otherwise as well, because both medics spawns, we had pause, and they kept building during that time, so interesting first mid-fight. Tercio is going to use that Uber onto Grip. Odin is going to get Uber popped onto him much later. Joe's trying to get the Hell Hunt out, and Essex is still in down and below, but lo and behold, he is going to keep his life there and his sentry gun as well, but the first cap is going to go the way of Feila.
Yeah, well,
they kind of
trying. Yeah, they got the kills, and then they were like, do we stand on the point now? Like, you know, they've done it a few times. It took them a while to get it. Odin running into pipes, dodging and weaving, trying to stay alive, and Kafka actually comes in behind. Kafka, the flank, takes down Layla, and that's going to give a big, meaty advantage for Mr. Tercio there. 60% by the time Layla spawns, and this is the first time I think the inVision have won the mid-fight, and this is the best position they've been so far in these 3 rounds.
Adios to Layla, as inVision are trying to hector them in, and I think definitely subduing them in some sort of way, as Wizard is going to kill Exile as well. There comes a huge jump from Kozuki, going to get denied though, as X2 gets Ubered onto, as Tercio forces Ubers the spy, the enemy spy. Joe dying in that encounter, but a lot more players are lacking right now on the side of inVision.
Yeah, it's never a good sign when you use an Uber and you come out of that exchange with like less players than you started with, and you know, less players than the enemy team, and the enemy team's medic didn't die. I don't think you get much worse than that. So yeah, Layla at 90% now, Feila in control of the point. They are behind, and they use Joe actually. Urka just kind of running forward, hitting some meat shots there, and in comes Kafka, gets the force.
So much
he gets Kozuki.
There.
Yeah, he gets Kozuki.
He's doing the Kozuki impression as... Oh yeah, it was good. Anyway, they're going to get that Uber forced out of Layla, and every jump you take and every death you take will be watching you, as Layla is going to get forced. Tercio still has 80% advantage. They want to go for it here. Stinger is going to take a lot of punishment, then X is going to come in as well. Tercio has to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, Tercio keeping his life is the most important thing. Exile's on the hunt, but Kafka and Grip are there. Do not want their medic to be pushed. 100% Uber, and Feila just taking the lead now in terms of time on this round. But you know, 65% for Layla. You know, Vision taking their time with pushing forward. It's going to be Utka and Stick. Utka going straight in. Delt is there. Got that air blast. Odin goes down. So does Delt, and Utka's still going. He wants more. He's going forward, but then backs away because there's the big rotate from Feila. They have Joe. They have Uber. And they get ready to go here. Uka is still trying to get something done behind enemy lines. And it's just buying more time for his team to try and regain that time lead.
Genuine Highlander exchange there. I think both sides were happy how that exchange worked out, but right now we have to see how Feila want to capitalize off that, and they even going to kill himself there with a reflect, and Stingen is out, Drip is out, they're going to race Exile away, goodbye into Exile, you go, Rambuso dying as well, they're receiving so much punishment there and don't even cap that point. Feila still getting hell hunted out of that point.
Yeah, they just keep trying to buy, and you know, they're buying as much time as they can. They have to fight tooth and nail for this. They cannot let this round go, because if this round goes the way of Feila, they are knocked out for the season. Uka just going forward, hitting the shots. He takes down one, he takes down, no, he doesn't take any more, because Buko is taking names with Zat, Stingan, both getting bullets to the dome, and that has really opened things up for Feila right now. Layla doesn't have Uber yet. She's suspiciously close forward when Tercio is 100%, but Tercio doesn't have the gamers to try and make an effective Uber, so they have to back off. But they brought so much time there, Don. Like, the fact that they probably should have given it up at around the 140 mark, they bought themselves 35-40 seconds out of nothing, out of just fighting, and now they're getting ready for the exchange.
And Joe is going to go down with the Uber exchange, which is a great weakening for this Feila side, as the blue side here onto inVision is going to grill down Odin, going to die as well. A lot of exchanges are going their way right now on the side of inVision, and Layla gets wrenched down there by Essex. You can teleport yourself to spawn, but I can also teleport the enemy medic to spawn. Kazuki only going to find a mouth full of sentry gun rockets, the Exile in as well. Only few singular stragglers coming in. I think I have to point out a bit more single players though. I think it was a testament to Buko there, the fact that Feila didn't even have the great initiative there onto these Uber exchanges, but he still stayed alive and got a 7k, and I think that made it way harder for inVision to get something working. Still though, inVision only 20 seconds to tick down.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much time. They have control of the point. They have the Uber advantage. They have the player advantage. Everything is, you know, everything is smelling inVision right now. They take down Exile, they take down Joe. You know, Feila don't really have anything to work with right now. They have to get onto the point, but they also have to get rid of this Uber. They always have to get something done, and it looks like they are getting a couple of kills, but Layla goes down. Stingan is just hiding around the corner, will get it, and inVision finally get themselves on the board for this third map, keeping life in this tie alive. Feila still on match point. One round is all it takes for them to get to the grand final. inVision need to win the next two, and those are the only two permutations that can happen right now. It's a close one.
inVision pushing Feila definitely in that third round that they took for them, for inVision, I mean, pushed them to that melting point, and they melted them completely away there with crits in the end as well. I mean, those were the end phase crits, but still, Wizard is winning that 1v1 against Buko, and Kazuki is going to get early shut down, takes a ton of damage before he can even initiate, and gets gunned out of the air there by Stingen, and a lot of initiative once again swings away of inVision, since they're controlling this left side, completely punishing any sort of flank that can't even get in on the Feila side, and then they reap them off the side there on that slope where they didn't even expect them to be this far aggressive. Layla survives though, Tercio as well, and we eye up this next Uber exchange.
Yeah, a bit more of a passive mid-fight from both teams. Maybe they're just starting to, you know, be a little bit
Feel
more
the
respectful.
pressure.
Yeah, you know, the nerves are coming in, and you know, they want to keep those medics alive and maybe take those exchanges. But as it is, Feila are just bleeding so many players. In comes Kazuki. Doesn't get the force.
Clutch, that is so very clutch, and those fine margins can definitely be the play that comes in right now from Kafka. Forces inversely Layla and Joe dying as well. So again, this better positioning on paper for inVision while they pop this Uber, and Feila are scared. They don't have players. They have to get the hell out of there and try to initiate again.
Yeah, and you know, we saw on Vigil, you know, Feila like to go in, take these exchanges, just get the Ubers out of the way and keep the fighting going. But it's not working for them right now, as Unforgiven gets a 3k, sticks up onto a 5k, absolutely decimate that pressure. They're going forward now, trying to get some kills. Stick might have been off more than he could chew there, but Exile cannot get the kill onto him. And at the moment, inVision, they've hard held for half of the amount of time. They're down to 1:30 on the clock. Feila haven't even managed to get the cap in this fourth round, and after being 2-0 down, inVision definitely have stepped things up here, starting to look a lot more comfortable, starting to get a lot more kills. With Zat definitely hitting some shots here, taking down Joe again. And, you know, at the moment, inVision are the ones in control.
Complete U-turn. I mean, Joe is dying 4th or 5th consecutive time now. I've lost count. Eskusuki is going to bomb in once again, though. Is not going to get the force Tursio, protected by his own Pyro, by his own dispenser. Wiethoofd going to get stabbed there. Exio getting onto that predictional raid there as the soldier jumps in, the spy comes in, and you CeeJaey, as the wonderful hype moments come in, the 3rd pass comes in.
Because, of course, the pause happens 90 seconds in the future. It's about to end now as the Uber exchange is happening. Exile trying to go for a bit of a chase, not getting anything though. And it does look like Feila are trying to recapture this point, but it's costing them a lot of bodies.
And Joe again, I mean, he jumps in, comes in, flies on high through the air, and then decides to chase in the enemy lobby, and Stick is going to easily take that fight there against Joe. Joe's down right now on a long respawner. Or, yes, on a long respawner, because Feila managed to cap, but right now Stinger and Stick are going to charge forward onto the point, backed up by the entire team. The flank is there as well. Odin is going to take so much punishment there. Kafka on that hill as well, and there it goes. The round is going to tick down, and I got tricked a bit by the hut there, but I think they're still looking into the ascendancy. I'm going to retry my game. Thanks for tricking me, hut, but I mean, CeeJaey, inVision are still looking on to the upper hand here, and you know what? 90% in the bank of Tursio.
Yeah, 20 seconds left on the clock. This is basically a repeat of round 3, where Feila have a really, really difficult task. They have to capture the point, but they also have to deal with the fact their opponents have an Uber. They have to deal with Kafka coming in and killing Layla as they walked through that door. The Uber's popped onto Sting and onto Grip. They're just going to be chasing those frags. These are just log frags at this point. The round is definitely inVision's, and the round is definitely going to be a second for them. It is 2-2 on the 3rd and final map of this semi-final, and that is where the pause happened. This next round will determine who reaches the grand final. It's between Feila in the red, it's inVision in the blue. Whoever wins this will face STCK next week in another best of 3. The loser will be finishing with the 3rd place medal. Dom, I can't call it. This has been a tight game.
Full focus tight game is the under, well, it is not even over exaggeration. No, it is. Odin is walking forward. I'm going to catch my breath in a second. Odin is walking forward, going to get so much punishment once again, but forces all the eyes onto him, so makes so much space. Kusuki Sting, and so weak Layla is going to get her head scrutinized there in the back alliance. And what I wanted to say is, I mean, excitement in close game is the euphemism of the day. That is absolutely nail-bitingly close game. Ramoso is trying to charge forward here as a Rambo, as he is attacked up apparently, and as a Saurus, you know. It is really fearful for the enemy team. Stingan, though, right now is going to get healed and full 100% still onto Tursio as Layla died through a headshot. Wizard has headshots for everyone. Everyone is going to get bullets.
Yeah, but he gets a bullet there from,
well.
From Buko, yeah, so maybe that's going to be the opening for Feila to try and get something done. 100% still for Tursio, but Feila starting to get some kills here. Maybe he's starting to make some openings. Tursio he's trying to keep up with Utka, who is trying to catch up to Layla, but no! Tursio just leaves him and he just gets a meat shot to the face from Exile. So able to survive there, Layla with the 60-70% Uber. Definitely going to be a chance for Feila to get something in here. inVision in the lead now for the first time in this map, but Unforgiven gets the backstab.
These pick classes are delivering back-to-back and head-to-head and all the time consecutively as the headshot is going to come in onto Exile, and afterwards Layla is going to get stepped down once again. 60% advantage, and she spawns on crit streak to equalize things greatly, because the crit streak worked for them before, and Deity is going to get shot away. Wizard still on that 3-kill streak there, and they want to have a repeating scenario there. Exio is going to get spotted there, doesn't get the stab onto Stick, but Feila want to again execute a huge crits.
Yeah, it's there's a lot riding on the next few moments.
Did you just yawn, CeeJaey?
No, I'm taking a breath, man. I'm running out of air here. This has just been non-stop chaos for the past 2.5 hours. The Uber's going to be used by Tursio going forward. Layla is safe for the time being. 90%, 100%.
Tercio flashes the spy once again, and then Axio and Stick both get launched into the air. The crit is going to come out. Kills Grip, kills the Stragglers, kills Sting, and only Unforgiven. Wipe the screen, wipe the whiteboard, everything. I'm going to get evicted out of this flat. It took me so long to find it, but I have to scream, CeeJaey. It is such a close fashion game, and again, I mean, Feila have the grabs on that point. They are on the time deficit, and I mean, inVision just they have to go in here, and Feila and Layla are still on crits.
Yeah, and you know what? If you're inVision, you're aware of that. You know that the crits is there. You know that the crits is in play.
And Axios as well.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, they know that they have to use the crits aggressively, otherwise it's pointless. In comes Kafka, doesn't get anything out of them, but the crits is ready. Joe's first stick hits the side, doesn't manage to get much else, but the panic that it causes is enough for everyone else to get the kills, and his Axio getting the Latrange out takes down Tercio, and what would have been an uber advantage has turned into nothing. And it's back to the drawing board for inVision. 1:45 left on the clock for Feila. They are about 40 seconds behind now. And they're in control of the point. In comes Kafka onto Layla, but he just gets a bunch of metal instead. The dispenser goes down. Feila are just coming forward, trying to stop this point from being capped, but a lot of kills go inVision's way.
Definitely. Layla's still surviving though, and she has 80% crit streak, has 50% advantage, has her Uber, pardon me, or crit scan rather, farther advanced, as I'm also slowly losing my voice, and as the crit is going to come in though, Layla gets absolutely domed on CeeJaey.
Yeah, a combine from Asix and Utka just go forward. A meat shot apiece is enough to take her down. And that's the problem when you're running crits. You are not invulnerable to damage. Tercio has 80%. He's jumped by Kazuki. Stingen's left alone. Is he going to be able to get any more kills? He can't. He gets a 4-kill streak there as they were trying to take down Tercio, but he lives with 100% Uber. 17 seconds left on the clock now for inVision. If they cap and hold for that amount of time, they are through to the final, and they will reverse sweep this map and stop Feila from doing the same to them in terms of the overall maps. In comes to Uber. It's going to be Utka. It's going to be Stick. He jumps forward. Kafka does go down. They manage to take down Odin, but they also get down Rambo. Wizard's going to get Buko, but they don't get Layla. They don't get Joe. There's a lot of players dying here, and Feila know they need to try and block this point, but no, it's not enough. Wizard gets Layla and Joe and Exile, and that might be it. 10 seconds left on the clock.
They clumped them in there in the shutter area, and it might make you shudder as well as Layla went down. They all went through the shutter of doom, and it's going to take down 1 second only. Kazuki going to get denied, and it is going to be inVision going into the grand final, absolutely pulling the comeback. The brakes not working for anyone. They pumped on the gas pedal so much they flew through the windshield straight to the grand final. Feila are out. What a banger of a match, but I mean, honestly, you gotta give it to inVision. What a comeback story, honestly, CeeJaey. Auf our remembrance as we are looking at the final logs for a pro plant even, or maybe they even have a combined log analysis provided for us, or where they provide the logs, we provide the analysis for the entire game. I don't think Beep is still around to do this, but maybe someone else can. CeeJaey, if you still have a voice left in you, maybe you can.
Oh, I've always got a voice for logs. Always got a voice for logs. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty equal across the board there. I mean, I my eyes are always drawn to the medics. You see 11 deaths apiece. That shows how close it was. You didn't see one medic dying much more than the other. When in terms of top damage, Buko there, 496, nearly reaching 500 DPM there on Sniper, getting 33 kills. Most kills was at with the 43. And then we see a bunch of Feila players, Odin on 35, Buko 33, and then we have the two scouts, Exile and Utka, 29 and 27 each. A lot of kills coming from those guys on the cleanup business. But other than that, it's just so equal across the board. We just saw the one drop from Tercio in that game. But that doesn't tell the whole story, does it?
We have really equal, just going to linger onto the logs for one or two minuscule little moments there, as you would. If you compare these classes as to head-to-head, I think, for example, snipers are relatively close, even though I have to say Wizard has 10 more frags than Buko. They have similar amounts of sniper with sniper shots, 9 to 8. But also Spy, for example, Unforgiven, definitely not pulling as much as he has pulled in the previous sort of instances of the game, but it worked for them. They won, and we still have to keep our eyes peeled. Maybe Core can sort them by KDs, and if you sort them by KDs, you even still see out of the top 6 players, 4 of these players are once again Feila players, but they lost, and it's, for example, Odin pulling in the work, having a 2.0 KD, pretty good and heavy, staying alive, being that primary focus sometimes of that Uber, even though Joe is usually the one receiving all that heal, receiving all that Uber engagement power, but I mean, all the players themselves also pulling through. I don't know if you see anything really that sticks out to you, but I think it's pretty close if you also sort them by sort of classes. You see like the flank, scouts quite equal, like soldiers really, really equal. Deity, I think, having a definite edge, at least in the cold numbers, they're over grip, but I mean, yeah, those are, post-factual commentaries.
Of course, if you want to support the channel, you can do so. You can subscribe to Twitch. Obviously, if you're watching right now on Twitch, then you can subscribe with that sub button. If you're watching on YouTube later on, then you can head over to the Twitch channel and support if you want. All of that money goes towards supporting the production and the casting staff for all of the stuff that goes on. I think everyone here deserves a good night. So I'm going to say thank you to Core for the amazing production, and thank you, Dom, for the amazing casting with me. It's great to have you back, and Wiethoofd as well, doing stuff in the background as always, as well, deserves a big thanks. And thanks to you guys for watching and for the teams putting on a great show. We'll see you for more TF2 soon. Good night.
Hi, old beaver! Away!